Good evening, YouTube. My name is Alan, and it's that time once again. Let's talk metal. Tonight, I figured I would dig into the singles box and pull out a few obscurities to chat about for a while, give folks a chance to hear some tracks that are really good by bands that may just never have crossed their path because, they're not particularly well known. They were around for a short period of time, got that one single out and then disappeared back into the woodwork. As I was sifting through the boxes looking for something to pull together that was a little coherent, I noticed that several singles from Canada were catching my eye, and so I figured, hey, let's do a video saluting some of the great unsung heavy metal heroes from Canada. And who better to help me with this than our special guest, Larry, the Beaver. This is a little something my wife brought me back from a business trip she took to Canada years ago. And yeah, it's late. I'm full of Red Bull, and this seemed really funny at the time. Wouldn't you agree, Larry? Larry says 2 thumbs up. Absolutely. So without further ado, let's check out our first entry. First up, we have a single by a band named CHYLD. Now, not the most promising band name, even though it is misspelled, so extra points for getting their 80s metal cred by misspelling a very simple word. Still, just glancing at this, it's something that a lot of headbangers probably wouldn't pick up if they saw it in the record bin, and they'd be missing out. Let's go to the tape, and then we'll discuss CHYLD a little bit more. But I'm going to play a little clip from one of these two songs. This one's called Ye Morlock. So yeah, CHYLD absolutely killing it there on Ye Morlock. What did you think, Larry the Beaver? Larry gives it 2 thumbs up. Larry's pretty generous with the 2 thumbs up. He's not very posable. I'll probably stop with the Larry joke now. It was funny when I thought of it at the time. Let's talk a little bit more about this unusual single. CHYLD were out of Toronto, and they released this one item in 1986. The picture sleeve looks a little odd for a 1986 release, and there's a good reason for that. This single was not originally issued with a picture sleeve. When the band put these out, it was just a normal looking single in a plain white sleeve. No picture sleeve was made. What happened was years later, the band was contacted by folks, and it turned out they still had a lot of unsold copies that they still had a hold of. And the band ended up putting out sort of a self-done anthology with some unreleased material. So that's when this particular artwork came to be, and they put out the CD, which had the single with some unreleased stuff. And the way this worked was when you ordered the CD, you also got an original copy of the single, not a reissue. These were original leftover stock from about 20, 25 years earlier. But they had manufactured these picture sleeves to put the single in for this little bundle package that you could buy directly from the band. And I didn't see a date on the disc here, but I'm thinking they did this somewhere around the 2012 era, give or take a few years. I'd have to dig around and see exactly when I bought it. But regardless, both tracks on here, Light the Night and Ye Morlock, really good stuff. As you just heard with the clip of Ye Morlock, fast, galloping, heavy metal, really good, strong vocal performance there. And Light the Night's a really great number as well. There's some good tracks on the anthology CD that didn't make it onto the single. So it's a real shame this band never got a chance to do a full album. They definitely had some talent, some songwriting chops for sure. One of the real overlooked classics, classic story of a band that had the talent and just for one reason or another did not get the break. All right, let's move on to entry number 2. Now, for this one, we're moving over to Ontario. And is Ontario close to Toronto? I feel like they're close to each other. Like most Americans, my Canadian geography is not the best, so sorry, Canada. It's not you, it's me. So, but let's move on and talk about this band, Minotaur, who released one single in 1984. This features the tracks Burner, and on the flip side, it's Witch Hunt. I want to give you a chance to check out just a little bit of Burner right now. So yeah, Minotaur absolutely lighting it up there with a great track called Burner from their only single release in 1984. Band kind of just disappeared. It's a real shame. Both tracks on this are excellent. Heavy metal, 1984. If you like that classic 80s metal sound, yeah. It's not hard to see why this one is pretty sought after by collectors from metal of that day and age. The band did get the anthology treatment years later. In 2004, the OPM Records label put out an anthology with some unreleased material. And a lot of tracks on the anthology are also very good. The anthology itself has become kind of collectible and hard to get a hold of because folks realize that, yeah, this was a good band. And for, whatever reason, whether there were lineup issues or life got in the way or they just couldn't get the attention of a label, they never got their break. But they did leave this, one artifact behind, and it's one that definitely deserves a little bit of love and attention from the heavy metal community. So shout out to Minotaur. All right, up next, we've got to head out to Western Canada, to Alberta. I do know a little Canadian geography. I'm not, completely incompetent. And in Alberta, there was this band in the early 80s called Ironhead. And they recorded a couple of really cool songs, one of which I'm going to play a little snippet of right now. So let's check out part of Double or Nothing.
Come the past, 12
So yeah, Ironhead cranking one out there with Double or Nothing. The song on the flip side, Second to None, is very similar and also very, very good. Now, the deal with this Ironhead music, the tracks were recorded in 1981, but the single was not released at the time. This was a case where the band recorded some material, but it never really saw the light of day. Again, I don't know the backstory, whether the band quickly fell apart or there was just no label in Western Canada that was interested in putting it out. Don't know. So regardless, it sat unreleased and thus unheard by most folks until, once again, the OPM record label ended up putting it out for the band in 1998. And so that's where this particular single came from. It's a real shame no other material is surfaced by the band because both those songs are really good. It's got, you know, really fast, upbeat. There's hints of Motorhead. There's some punky influence mixed in there. Really strong stuff. Really wish they had done some more. Just a little side note on the OPM release. Again, just kind of, you know, simple picture sleeve that they had made up for it at the time. But there were two versions of it. You could get it on sort of normal black vinyl, like you'd expect most things to appear on. But they also did copies on clear vinyl. So you could get it both ways. And if you're asking yourself, but Alan, why do you have one of each? Because I'm a sick little monkey. You all should know that by now. But also because it's a really kick-ass little single, and certainly didn't mind paying a few more bucks to get another copy of it. It's not a particularly expensive item. You can usually find copies of it pretty cheap when it turns up. So yeah, if that sounds like your kind of heavy metal, keep an eye out for Ironhead. Cool picture sleeve, cool band, two very cool songs. All right, we've got one last one to cover before we call it an evening. And yeah, this one's one of the best out of Canada, in my opinion. I definitely saved this one for the end on purpose. This time we're coming over to Quebec, and we're checking out the one and only single release by a band with the strange name of Lord Ryor. I'm guessing it's pronounced Ryor. Not really sure, but I'm going to go with Ryor. So tracks on here are Pact with the Sinner and Heroes After Heroes. Let's check out a little bit of Pact with the Sinner.
The time has come to pay me back for burning hell.
So yeah, Lord Ryor hitting it out of the park there, Pact with the Sinner. The band's vocalist obviously taking some cues from King Diamond and Merciful Fate. Sounds a little bit like a slightly hoarse, raspy King Diamond. Works pretty well. Let's face it, nobody sounds exactly like King Diamond, but this guy's giving it a pretty good run for its money there. Both songs on this single are really fantastic. Great stuff. And again, not hard to see why this is another one of those obscure singles that's pretty sought after by collectors. This is one that a lot of folks go nuts for and will spend a lot of time and sometimes a lot of cash trying to track it down. It's the only thing the band released. They did get the anthology treatment. I believe this one was done on No Remorse Records. Let's double check our notes over here. Yeah, 2013, there was a 5-track little sort of mini anthology put out on No Remorse Records that has the 2 songs from the single and then 3 extra tracks as well. I have never checked that one out. I'll be real honest. The first couple of releases I got when No Remorse Records started up, I was not impressed with the quality of the material. The Ramby anthology they put out, for example, was really poorly done in terms of like the inking, the packaging. Did not care for it. And as such, I avoided releases from that label for a while. Now, by all accounts, most people were really happy. They feel like the quality control quickly got much, much better. The label kind of recognized that, yeah, sorry, these first two didn't turn out the way we wanted them to. So I think they got much better after that. But I did end up missing the Lord Ryer and haven't circled back around to hear those other tracks, which I should probably do based on the strength of the single. They did some fantastic material. All right. So before I wrap up here tonight, did want to take a moment to discuss collecting some of these really obscure singles. If you've watched many of my videos, you know I have a tendency to show off things that are very obscure, a lot of private pressings of things that now are 40 plus years old and thus kind of hard to track down. Um, you shouldn't, however, feel like these are singles that you absolutely have to sell your kidney in order to afford, or that you're going to have to eat, cat food casserole for a month in order to pay for your eBay auction wins. There are some of these kind of singles that, yes, will sell for hundreds of dollars when they turn up. But a lot of these can be found for pretty affordable prices. Both the CHYLD and Ironhead singles I showed tonight don't sell for high amounts of money. They're not that hard to come by, and they're pretty affordable when they do. Something to keep in mind is that it's very hard to find a good price point for these singles because they turn up so infrequently. When you start looking on sites like Discogs or PopSykes and you're trying to see completed auctions to get a sense of pricing, a lot of times you may find like three listings. There's like one from 2008, one from 2013, and one from 2019, and the prices are $33, $83, and $194. And you're just kind of left wondering, what exactly is this record worth? I have no idea. There's no pattern to it. So it can be frustrating trying to figure out what's a fair price to pay for something like this. But a couple of things to keep in mind, good rules of thumb. First off, never pay more for a record than you're comfortable paying for it. These things are worth whatever you're willing to pay. And if that's $20, then it's worth $20 to you. If it's $200, okay, it's worth $200 to you. Another good rule of thumb with these, the type of singles that I show off, is that these often are very rare. They often had small print runs. A lot of copies have probably been destroyed over time. Not a lot survive, and so no, they don't surface all that often. However, these bands are also very obscure, and as such, there are not a lot of people that are looking to collect them. Your average heavy metal fan is not looking to pick up all these 40-year-old singles. Yeah, there's a lot of great music there, but it's just not what they're interested in. The average headbanger you meet on the street is going to be interested in Iron Maiden and Motorhead and Black Sabbath and Morbid Angel and Mayhem and Burzum and these kind of better known groups. And if they're going to spend their time and money collecting stuff, they're probably going to go after that material. So even though some of these singles like Lord Ryer and Minotaur are very rare, there's not a lot of people who are looking to collect it in the first place. And among those who are interested in collecting them, not a lot of those folks are willing to pay huge amounts of money in order to get these things. So the bottom line here is that the supply can be very low, but the demand can also be pretty low for these. It doesn't take for some of these things more than a few dozen copies to kind of saturate the collector's market. And after that, some other people might be interested in picking it up, but you see the price come way down because there are not many people left out there who are going to pay a lot of money for some of these. So the TLDR here is don't be scared away from looking for some of these things because you feel like they may be out of your price range or way too expensive. Some of them are a real pain to get. There's a lot of them I don't have because of that very reason. But you can find some pretty cool old singles. If you're willing to be patient and dig around, you can come up with some of these without paying a fortune for them. All right, end of my public service announcement. I just wanted to point that out so that nobody felt like Oh, he keeps playing all this awesome music, but it's on these singles that I have no chance of owning. You might have a better chance to pick some of these up than you think. Okay, let's wrap this video up. Now, there are a lot of other great singles from Canadian metal bands in the 1980s that I haven't shown here tonight. There are several that are still on my want list I haven't been able to track down. What are some others that deserve a shout out? What are some of your favorite Canadian obscurities that have gotten overlooked but deserve a little love and attention? Leave a comment down below. Let me know what are some of the other big ones that maybe one day I can circle back around and do another video shouting out some more great Canadian heavy metal bands. All right, that'll do it for tonight. So until next time, everybody take care. And as always, keep banging your head, just like Larry. All right, take it easy, y'all.